Guys, I am so happy that you all are here joining us tonight. We are here with our very special guest, our new artist for Act 2 in Draco Alchemicus. She's been working very, very hard for the last year, doing absolutely exquisite images, and we wanted to give you a bit of a sneak peek on the work that she's been doing for us, how she's been thinking about our images, and get you all excited for the fact that Act 2, The Court, will be coming out this autumn. So welcome to the Mosaic Arc. Welcome. Oh, she's vanished. We are cursed.
What? No, I can see her.
Not here. Not here in the
The dragon's working overtime,
the
people.
dragon is totally working overtime. Let me see if I go to
It
the
is
next.
not.
No, she's not there. She's not there. Okay. Did you? Oh, well, you went out and you came back in, right? So, guys, this is work in progress. We are not going to worry about this. She will be here in just a second. Hold your horses. I'm going to do this. See. That. Even though you're on, Aisha, you're on camera.
Okay.
Okay, so there is clearly there is nothing we can do tonight to make this all like polished and edgy and stuff like that, and I am not going to try to learn editing. So here we are. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. We did it.
Yes. So Aisha, how on earth did you ever find us, given what amateur hour we are in our work, our because Aisha, better known as Grimmer Arts, in her online persona, found us 2 summers ago now, right, when we were doing the Kickstarter for Act 1, and I'd say every single piece of the project that we've had in Draco Alchemicus has just been a gift, right? It's like when Zay showed up in my emails because of a blog post I'd done about the importance of comic art, and said, I'm drawing, and I'm like, you're drawing for us. and then 2 summers ago, Aisha came and saw our Kickstarter and said,
Yeah, something along the lines of I am tired of doing mainstream fantasy art.
Well, we're not mainstream at all.
Give me something
for you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that I had reached out to a bunch of I guess creators that were doing, like, I reached out to Jonathan Pajot, I remember back at the time, just like, but not really expecting anything in return, just kind of like, hey, I would just like to dedicate my craft to something that is a little bit more worthy than drawing orcs and elves for into like woke narratives. That would be great.
Well, but we will have links in the YouTube description, so everybody can go and find your other work. But you had actually been doing I mean, a lot of cover art, so incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, fully modeled and rendered pictures, and we said, yeah, we need
Gorgeous.
comic illustrations.
Yeah.
please
I was like, what?
please come down to our level of pop art. No, that this has been one of the things that we've been learning about. I mean, just your craft and the kinds of work that you and Zay have been doing. It's like there's different registers of illustration in the art world.
Yep.
And you'd been doing more cover illustrations which have different kinds of demands on your craft. And so we were actually incredibly grateful that you would play with us. That's
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, and then once I checked the Kickstarter and then I saw the story, it's like, this is exciting. Like, this is I didn't. It's like, yes, this is gonna be exciting. You're gonna see.
we
But,
forced her to
yeah,
go beyond what we.
Not really. Like when we go through the images, we're gonna see. Like I did this, all of this to myself. So yeah.
Yes, you've done this all to
We're
yourself.
fair and square
But
in
same. Just introduce yourself a little bit more about what you'd been doing, and I mean, it is like truly an enormous honor for you to be working with us. We are, as we've now proved in this stream, beginners in so many ways, but the being beginners in the craft of thinking about how to use our skills in Christian storytelling. I think all of us are beginners at that, because there just isn't there isn't really a model
Sure.
right
Yeah.
now other than Tolkien.
Yeah, no. Yeah, literally, and everything that has come before, like throughout the past century, is absolute garbage. Like it's you can't take it. Like it's there. I cannot think of anything that comes to mind that is like, yes, this was great. This was like, maybe it's starting to change now, but we'll see. That's the
Well,
hope.
I mean, yeah. What I want you to say more is about how great we are. No, what say more about the kind of things that you had been drawing, and why you
Sure.
felt like what we were doing was different. Because I mean, that was the point of the Kickstarter, one, to sort of show people what we were working on. It keeps getting bigger as we find our way further into the story. Modestly, it was just going to be yet another fantasy story on the model of the Fairy Queen. Okay, that wasn't that modest, but the problem, the specific
Yeah.
problem that we were answering to is one that, of course, Jonathan Pajot has been interested in as well. Of how do you make art in the older modes of reality while attracting
Right.
a modern audience to them, because and that's
Right.
been a huge challenge for us, just explaining to people what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think definitely a lot of creators now are trying to bridge that gap one way or another by using the traditional craft of art to tell fantasy stories that are coherent and proper. But yeah, I mean, on my background, I've always been really, really interested in storytelling. And I came out of college pretty disillusioned because if you get a fine arts degree, that's pretty much equivalent to getting nothing for your money. Maybe an education, a great education on postmodern ideology, but other than that, it's not great. So I always like to tell this story. Shortly after I graduated, we were participating on a contemporary arts fair, and I think that there were like 4 or 5 of us, and we participated with different natured projects. Like somebody was doing maybe installation art, somebody else was doing photography. I was doing illustration, of course, because that is what by my last 2 years of college I was determined to do. Nobody in our panel sold anything except for one guy who was pretty much the got a reputation for being just not really putting his heart into anything that he did. He got an IKEA bench with 4 plastic boxes, and he sold that for 700 euros.
No way!
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
So
gosh!
money laundering on a
So
small scale too, you're saying?
Wow.
Yeah. After that, we were like,
That's
at
demoralizing.
least I was like, yeah, no, I am out. I have no interest, virtually no interest in participating of the contemporary arts scene. I want no part of this. By this point, it's not like I am a particularly moral person or anything, but I was just like, I'm not selling lies. I'm done.
Right.
So, long story short, I found myself out of college without any craft skills to get into the industry that I wanted to get to initially, which was illustration and concept art. Because throughout our 4-degree college degree, um, there was no brick and mortar, there was no practice of the craft, there was nothing. We had maybe 1 or 2 sessions in which we practiced with a nude model, which is absolutely asinine if you're studying fine arts.
1 or 2
Like,
sessions. Wow.
yes, 1 or 2 sessions.
I mean, I did
So
I
it
did a
was- it
like
was- it
community
was-
college class in nude drawing, and we at least got to do like 10 weeks. So to say you're
Yeah,
actually in an art
which is-
college and you don't have life drawing.
No, we had a painting class that lasted we had that 2 consecutive years, and it was just basically like a crash course on materials. But of course, it's always non-figurative, non-representational art. It's normally always abstract, like, and there's a noticeable trend to going towards non-conventional forms of art. So say performance, non-conventional forms of art that are painfully conventional right now.
The
but-
the convention of being non-conventional.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Basically, yes. So yeah, and I discovered that after 4 years of that, I had no real skills as an artist, even though I had been drawing all my life. But it's like I have no reliable skill to produce consistent work for, let's say, a company. If I want to like go start working on video games or anything, I have no way to sustain a workflow for design or illustration, nothing. So I started working with a mentor back then. And he pointed me to the place that I needed to go to get some nice art skills, which is a brick and mortar atelier in California. They have a fantastic online program because back then, of course, I could not move to California. So I took their online program. I got good, and within not even a year, I was working as an artist. So
That
Yeah.
I mean,
It's demoralizing.
It's
and to
very
even
demoralizing
say it, yeah.
to think that so you
Okay.
were in the fine arts program that was in Spain.
yes, I attended Francisco de Vitoria University, which is a Catholic university as well. And yeah, they're, but I wouldn't say that their program is particularly different from any other academic space in Spain, like university space. Maybe there's slight differences here and there, but like overall, I wouldn't say that you would get a solid improvement of your skills in any art.
This
degree
is the
you
country
take.
that gave the world the Prado. I'm in shock that they're not properly teaching
Yes.
artists. I'm really in shock.
Velázquez and Murillo and yeah, all of this tradition of amazing painters. But yeah, at this point, like it's just like the message that you find in academia everywhere, which is this has been done already. This is passé. We need to transcend this. We need to do something else.
But it's
Yeah.
the astonishing thing that say we need to transcend this by doing something else without skills. Like what are they and
Yeah.
of course that everyone's worried about how the computers are overriding the skills that people do have, and you're like, this is even more insane because you are creating things that nobody wants, or the $700 for the bench and the plastic squares. But I'm kind of speechless in shock, right? and I'd say that this I don't know a creative writing program because I've never done anything quite like that, but I do know that the poetry that people seem to come out of the creative writing programs with is not what we're trying to do in our storytelling, because most of it is we talked about this with Carl when we had him on, that it's not metered, it's not structured in any way, it's form on the page, or it's it's not quite, there's no skill, well there is skill, but it's not, there's no of the old style skills in the poetry people are writing either. And that's one of the things that we were responding to. It's saying, how can you create art without actually simply having the techniques that you need to use. So to a certain extent, we started 5 years ago now with iambic pentameter simply to learn to write iambic pentameter, not even to do anything in particular with it.
Right.
Just say we need the skills to start with.
Yeah, you need fundamentals, which is basically what is missing from the creation of art right now. Is you cannot. What are you trying to transcend here? I could maybe make a case for you if you get somebody like Picasso. Picasso painted like Raphael when he was
Yes,
16.
he did.
And he was like, okay, I am bored. I want to do something else. I still have a gripe with that because, again, I don't think that what he did is beautiful or
It's
elevating
not.
in any
It's
way.
not.
Just dumb.
But
Oh,
if you wanted to argue just from a mere point of skills, it's like, okay, fine. If you have unlocked the ability of painting like Raphael and you want to go to something else, I'm not going to say anything about it. But yeah, what do you want to transcend exactly if you have no fundamentals, if you don't have a basic language structure?
right. And this is the same trend in classical music we learned
Mhm.
that they demanded
Yes,
atonal.
yes, yes.
It's something people will naturally reject if they're not using it for money laundering. They'll just reject it because it doesn't sound
Yes.
right. It doesn't, or on the page, the artist, it doesn't look right, or in poetry, like Hal, it sounds ridiculous. It just sounds like a bunch of just a ridiculous word salad, or paint salad,
Yeah.
or musical note salad. It just doesn't. None of it makes sense. And
No, it just sounds, it looks, and it reads disjointed.
yes,
It's like a cacophony of things that just don't make
that's
sense.
the word.
It's like
Cacophony is a perfect word.
nothing. Yes, nothing aligns with anything. It's all jumbled. It's a mess.
Well, so it's satanic.
Yes. Matter of fact, yes.
I mean, that's
But,
just
yeah.
I don't know Picasso particularly, right? But I mean, that's obviously one of the themes of what we're trying to do. If we're trying to make Christian art, there's a certain claim about working with our creator and working with design and working with, beauty, and that the kind of art we are trying to make is to show you that incarnate. And it's like we say, it's incarnational, but it's that if you work, if you and I think what we're frustrated about as Christians, not finding art being made to the older canons of proportion and design and color and materials
Yeah.
and all of those things, is because fundamentally what we want to do is use our art to participate in that worship of God. And I'd say so much. I mean, having just got back from Rome and still being jet lagged from all of that, saying it's so apparent to me now. It's like you can't move in Rome for another church with another exquisitely extraordinary, even if Baroque, over the top, magnificent art, and you say, what did we do to our worship that we seem to have lost all of that feeling for glory?
It's the same thing we did to our architecture.
That's what we're aiming at in our poem, right? Because we
Yes.
can write iambic
Yes.
pentameter that mostly rhymes.
I'll make it fit.
I'll make it fit.
I don't know how, but this will work. And it's great to read the poetry from Dark Alchemicus precisely because of that reason, because it's written under fundamentals. It doesn't read like modern poetry. Like modern poetry is absolutely like modern contemporary music, classical music. Like it's absolutely unbearable.
Mhm.
You can't sit through that. At least if you were living honestly. Like I just can't. Like no person who's attuned to beauty in any capacity can just sit there and take it.
Assault. It feels like an assault.
It is.
I left a musical performance once, and it was and I don't know the name of this particular type. It was some traditional music from Southeast Asia, and I said, "Oh, that sounds interesting." So I got into the audience and I sat down to listen, and it was like an ice pick in my brain. I couldn't take it. I had to get. It was so agitating, whatever it is they were doing with the atonality, and it just I had to get up and leave. I did. I got up and I was raised to never do that. You never do that in a performance. I'm like, I don't care. I need to get out of here. My brain's going to
Oh, you're
explode.
just running away from it because it was so.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
It was like running.
Yeah, if you have any healthy instincts whatsoever in terms of beauty, aesthetics, or anything, that is the natural impulse. That is what you would want to do. I found in my college degree that you basically, a big chunk of the education was spent on trying to
break them of the desire for
re-educate the
beauty.
students' sensibilities, and trying to teach them. Basically, yes, and to convince them that whatever is being done now, like take somebody like, I think his name is Christos or Christo, contemporary artist that does just like contemporary artist stuff. That it's just good. It's great. That is what you should be striving for. Like, again, like all of these guys that were still in the past and that are long dead now, they were good at some point, but that's not what we're looking for right now. Like, what we're looking for right now is deconstruction, is social analysis, is like,
Yes,
it's like,
I am surprised because that was like avant-garde in the 50s, like before I was born. So that they think that this is still the new thing. Nearly, okay, I'm not 100, right? But 70 years later, 80 years later. I mean, it was novel in the early 20th century. It is over 100 years old. And to feel, so it feels like that we've been stuck in that. So what I'm thinking is, Aisha, if you have been enjoying reading our poetry, I think that's like the best critique we'll ever receive, because we've given you our story to please find illustrations for, and we could say, guys, if you want Aisha to work for you, she gives you really good instructions, because we had to give her instructions on on what we wanted in the images. But I think this has been great watching her give us the illustrations, and we're going like, wow, did we tell you to put that in, or did you put that in yourself? And she's like, it's in the poem. What are you talking about?
We just forgot what we wrote.
Oh my gosh, we forgot.
We're better than we thought. Okay.
Well, to be fair, we're in a, she's illustrating while we're continuing to write, so we may have forgotten a little bit of some of the details we put in.
Yeah.
However, she is also, and we're going to show you some of the things that she's had to like piece out, because the working between the words and the images, there's things in the words that you can't put in the images and vice versa, right? So this is the thing that I wanted, that I wrote about, that Zay found when I was talking about how the art that we're making, it's incarnational at the level of beauty, and we hope, and truth and things like that. But there's also this incarnational element of word and image, right? That there's both the word becoming flesh, and so needing to have the pictures, and the pictures telling a story, so they do in fact need to go with the story that they're illustrating, so that this twinning of them is very, very important. And therefore, if I'm saying, that warms my heart so much, if you're enjoying reading the poem as you're drawing it, that's great. Because it's
well, I would not have said, yes, I will illustrate this if it was not a
well.
And I'm serious.
Having said that, we should show you all a little bit of the magic that Aisha's been able to do with us. So we have here. This is you guys will recognize Eliza from Act 1, right? As she first shows up in her gold dress and her bosom. that was. Poor Zay, when we say we need her after bosom, he's like, oh no, I'm going to become a monk now.
Like, throw him into the monastery.
Well, no, this is we do seem to be having a good effect on our artists, because we draw them into, illustrating our Christian stories, and then give them all this vice to have to like render for us, so that you get the contrast. That he had been drawing stories about Marcus Aurelius, right, and then had to do some pretty hair-raising illustrations for that. So we get here Eliza here showing up for the first time. This is the first vision that we have of her as the seductress and the queen of the casino, right? But then we say to Aisha. Well, but for Act Two, you need to transform her into Queen Elizabeth, right? In this dress, right? And this was in fact what Aisha did for us. The very first drawing she did for us was like, okay, so let me see if I got this right. This is what you want me to do, and we end up with this Eliza, right? And this is actually a polished version of it. I think not the absolute original one you did for us, but it's still the same kind of, yes, you captured who she was in modernity and then alchemized her into, Elizabeth in her rainbow dress.
Yeah, she was definitely a fun one to draw, because it's basically like, it was super super easy. She's the I don't know if every illustrator has like a character type that they gravitate towards, but for me,
We
it's
saw
like, this
this
is
when
my
you
bread
showed
and
me your
butter. This is what
portfolio,
I
and I'm
will
like,
be
oh, she
doing
can
anyway.
definitely do Eliza.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, yes, please do Eliza for us.
Yes. Yeah, I guess it's like, yeah, at least that's my one of my favorite character types, is just like the idea of a fallen woman. So yeah, it's just she
Well,
was
but you
really
still managed.
really
I'll just go back to
nice and cozy to
Queen
get
Elizabeth in
started.
her dress. She's not really showing much of a bosom there because I guess that. But you've managed to render our
No,
Eliza with our source material, and to say what you guys also to recognize in Aisha's drawings is how magnificently she's worked with the sources that we gave her. Right? It's like we're saying, we want you to make this character in this costume or in this setting, but it needs to be our character, which we realize is also what we're trying to do in our sort of, it's kind of a historical fiction that we're playing with. It's saying you should recognize these characters, but they're also themselves in the story, and that kind of touching on history, touching on real people is quite important for us, and that we have some examples for you of some of the characters that Aisha's rendered for us that are just absolutely there. It's quite wonderful. But there's other things in this picture of Eliza that some of them they're in the source, and some of them you've added there. She had to have the serpent on her sleeve because that's part of the
Yes.
original dress, and it's also part of our imagery in the story. But the jewels and the hair and her cloak and all of those things are pure Aisha.
yeah, and it was again like going into a different format. It's visually a more concise format. It's not as rendered, not as polished as what I'm used to doing. I'm normally used to working
Hmm.
on one image, maybe two images, done, on to the next thing. But working within the same universe, like the style is not as complex, is not as of course realistic. So it was an interesting challenge for me to put that down and be like, no, you need to stylize, you need to
Well, and the
leave
thing is, I
this
think
way more simple
this
than
is
you
this
would
is
like
one
to
of the things
render it.
we've had to
But
learn as patrons, I suppose. Saying, please make this picture for us, and it needs to look like this. And and you were asking us like what level of rendering and what level of detail. That what I appreciate now is how much I'm trained on seeing the medieval manuscript illuminations, and that they actually work beautifully as book illustrations, which is what they were, right? The book illustrations need to be different from what you'd paint
yes,
on a wall or a photograph that you'd take. That there's a way that they're interacting with the text that I think that the not rendering it as three-dimensionally actually is important.
yeah, and then I think, I mean, as illustrators, our job is to bring into the tangible what is intangible, pretty much to bring ideas. Like, how do you um, another great artist,
Hmm.
we had a conversation about this, and he told me this, like, how do you know that
Coca-Cola.
Santa Claus looks the way that he does? Because of illustration, basically, because of exactly, because golden age illustrators brought the idea of Santa Claus into a commercialized setting,
Hmm.
or at least a mass production setting, and that is how you know how he looks like. That is our job, basically, as illustrators. Is again, it's a different branch from the high art of fine art, but nevertheless important,
Making
even
the
if it's not
characters
applied to
right, but
commercial.
it's that I mean,
Um,
this is what I was, in my fantasy version of what I'm, up to is indeed making this medieval twinning of meaning and the word and the image, right? And that the images need to speak not just to like it's not that they simply need to be realistic, because that's not what we're really going for. We're going for something that's pointing beyond, right? That they're like the for example, the mosaic images that you have from antiquity, or that I was seeing in Rome, right? A mosaic is flat, but it has all of these the shimmering light off of its tiles. So you don't necessarily make them three-dimensional because they have a dimensionality that's different. So, and this is another of the things that's been wonderful watching you work,
yes,
putting
yeah,
the light effects into the pictures, so that we have the
Mm.
line drawings, and then the how do we make it like
oh yeah,
they look sort of glass-like to me now. Like you've achieved this kind of stained glass
Mm.
feeling of many of the we
oh
well,
that's
here I have
wonderful.
another proof. Okay, so here this
That
is
is
one
so
of
nice.
this. Okay, so in Act One, you sort of meet the dragon in little hints and such in the background and things like that. But here, the dragon, well, in Act Two, he's still kind of in the background, showing up in different places, kind of, but popping out constantly in the images that the characters are interacting with. And this is one of the first ones they see in this garden where the characters from Act One have been transported, and they land in this Elizabethan time, and they're in this garden of statues, and there's one that's the dragon fighting the elephant.
Mm.
When you did this one, I was just over the moon. I want this on T-shirts
Yeah,
and mugs and
it's amazing.
posters.
It just screams epic battle. It's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah. It's interesting. One of the images that I was looking for in regards of inspiration, not necessarily like literal inspiration, just kind of to grab the movement of the scene, was I believe it was one of Rubens' paintings, Peter Paul Rubens' paintings on hell or the
Mm.
purgatory, basically
Ooh.
like all of this mass of twisting and
Oh,
contorting people. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was very very fun to do, and probably unlike anything that I've done before. Like normally always my subject of interest have been people, so Act 2 was definitely an opportunity to branch out to pretty much anything that I was not
you
touching.
had fun with this. You can see that.
Oh yeah, no, it
Yeah.
was really fun.
Well, we gave you, and this is my picture of seeing that elephant recently in Rome, right? We gave you this picture of Bernini's elephant, which it's right around the back of the Pantheon in front of Santa Maria sopra Minerva, which I'd forgotten, and then I like see this elephant there 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's there! It's the elephant! I found it! And this is this is another of the features of our story, is that we're wanting. I mean, we're dropping ourselves into the world that the characters are in, and we want it to be like having these portals into our own image world.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to make a pilgrimage to Rome just to see this elephant at this point.
it's great.
Because
Isn't
we've
it the
talked about it
happiest
so
elephant?
much.
But the thing is that I don't know whether you appreciated this. I think we showed you a number of source images of the
Yes,
elephant fighting the dragon. It's like classic, as a bestiary image or an alchemical image. And it's also the great bestiary Christ image of, the elephant is the Christ figure, and the dragon is obviously the dragon, and that they battle like they do, both in apparently in reality. I guess back out in India, elephants fight boa constrictors, right? And so
Oh,
they do. I think that's where
wow.
the
That's
original like
cool.
legend came from, that they're
interesting.
actually elephants fighting snakes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
But then they get alchemized into this, symbolic rendering, which Aisha's picture is just like, there in the sun, in I guess the moon setting, the moon rising, right? And the hell,
Incredible.
and yet it's realistic, and yet this great cosmic battle. We have given her a hard assignment, you guys. He's
Yeah.
saying you must capture all of these layers in your picture.
Yeah, and ironically, I think that that is one of the reasons why the design of the dragon ended up being more like a coiled serpent than a dragon per se, because it's like it just only made sense that dragon in this context had more of a connotation of serpent rather than, I don't know, think about Smog.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
but the thing is, that is what the dragons are, right? Draco means serpent.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
the sort of shape shiftiness of the dragon is appropriate because he's in the story. I mean, the dragon
In the
is
way, yeah.
well,
He-
but the
he-
thing is, we're showing a picture of it. The dragon is real, but it's also real in other ways for the experience of the characters. And
Well, yeah, it gets its coils around people and it
Right.
pulls them in,
Right.
right? It constricts their movements and prevents them from seeing things. Yeah,
yeah, so this was a really important picture to get right.
it's
Because-
awesome.
because it's like the icon of the entire story is this battle that we're trying to help you find your way in. And in the poem, the characters see this, and it's like stanza 11, right? And they're all responding to it. Maybe we should actually like tell them what the stanza says, just as a teaser.
Just as a tease. Yeah, that would be
Here's
great.
So this is what this one is illustrating. It's my own poetry diary, mine in the sense of we wrote this and then gave it to Aisha. Okay, so this is the stanza this image is illustrating. I'll go back to the big picture of it. You know, they're seeing the statue. They think it moves. You're nuts. I heard it. Okay. The shapes before them writhed, coils serpentine, embraced an elephant in battle dress. A castle turreted, adamantine, flashed rainbows of a dreamtime of largesse. The serpent's eyes were rubies, and its flesh was colder than the desert of the kings, where elephants led armies to red death. A beast in crisis trumpeting, he sings, wrapped round by Draco in chryselephantine rings. It sings of power, Dominic intoned. It sings of love, gasped Lorelei, entranced. It sings of death, stern Churchill gravely groaned. It sings of glory, Demaro advanced. It sings of mysteries, coy Helen romanced. It sings of songs, I'm not reading this very well. It sings of songs, sang Kemet exultant. It sings of sorrow, longing for the dance, inside the city where the ravens chant. They stared at stone, enraptured by the elephant. Anyway.
It was so great. Yeah.
So it's like this one statue is holding the entire mystery. It's holding the mystery of the entire poem, but it's also holding the mystery of how things are going to play out in this act, right? Of the different songs that each of the characters hear and see in that battle.
Yeah, and that was one of the most appealing things from the entire stanza, and then drawing the image, just the fact that every character that has skin in the game sees what they would like to see, and so it's a reflection of the innermost desires of every character that are basically structured around their personality and who they are as archetypes, if you want to put it that way. Archetypes is probably not the right category to refer to that, but I do not have a better word now.
So yeah, Casey's sitting there going, "Don't tell them."
Oh no, I was actually just dreaming about the picture and what we wrote, and I just want to read it again now. It's a powerful image. Yeah.
And the thing is, Aisha, you're totally right. It's like that's when we were thinking of it, we were thinking of that great myth or story of the blind men and the elephant, and they each grab onto the elephant and describe it essentially as something different, and so they can't actually, they're all only seeing pieces of it, and they can't actually understand it. And that, obviously being a metaphor for the problem that we have in either apprehending who the elephant is, but also seeing the dragon, because the dragon comes in pieces too. That there's
God wants what I want, right? God wants me to be happy, and Yeah. So that's
Yeah, 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 and that is normally the ultimate
right.
prayer is like, please, please let my will be aligned with God's. Like, so I mean, in the
Hmm.
healthy way is the other way around. Like you want your will to be aligned to
Yes.
His, but normally it's the other way around. It's like, please,
Yeah.
please, please
Yeah.
let God want the
Yes,
same
and they're
thing that I
seeing they're
do
seeing
right
the elephant
now.
as like an idol, and in effect because of the way they're responding to it, praying to it, to give them the
Yeah.
the the particular power, glory, love, performance that they're longing for.
Yeah, and it's interesting because in all of their longings, there's a higher longing, of course. It's normally like even if you're within idolatry, like there's always the longing is for a higher good. It's always for something true
Right.
that is part of God,
Right. They
but
don't
it's
understand
just
their own desires.
missed.
They think it's something
Just missed.
else.
Right. Aisha, I'm happy you
Yes.
said it that way because this has been a persistent challenge in writing the poem that we have. Obviously we're writing about the dragon, and the dragon is, I mean, we said it in the blurbs for the story, right? So the dragon is drawing you into vice for sure. But the problem with vice is it's always very appealing. And so and that, the I mean,
Yeah.
I as editor and professor, have been having to say, look, we have to make all of the things that they long for, in fact, look appealing to the reader, because we get drawn into these desires, right? We want to have the
Yeah.
beauty and the magic and the power and the sensuousness, and that one of the things that really has to happen very much in this act is showing that, right? Showing the degree to which the what Eliza is going to be offering to them looks
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. It has to look great. The characters themselves have to look sympathetic because
Yeah.
we're reading about
Yeah.
ourselves. So yeah, we're not.
Yes. Yeah, and that's kind of the thing with temptation and with Satan and everything. Like he never uses temptation. Like he's never gonna show his true colors. Like he always
Hmm.
pulls you
Right.
from drawing something that you're interested and makes it look appealing. Other
Hmm.
no sane person would just fall for it if it was not
which
appealing
which
one
makes
way or
it's
another,
a funny kind of
at least to them.
obverse of what we started talking about, saying modern artists, the kind of training that you're getting in the academic artists, are being trained to make things that are basically ugly with no allure to them. It's like, excuse me.
Yes. Just why it's yeah. Just why it's I think that it really paints a good picture, no pun intended, on how disordered we have become as a society as a whole,
Yeah.
because you don't even need the appeal anymore. Like if you're thinking, let's say, if you look at a more recent example, like golden age illustrators drawing pinups in the 50s,
Hmm.
they're very very perverted images, but they're
Yeah.
gorgeous, they're absolutely stunningly created. But and right now the aim is not for that, the aim is for ugliness. Like
So
that is the end
because
goal and that is the means. It's
it
just
robs people of
ugly,
the
we're
ability
aiming
to
for
see
ugly.
beauty, right? So it's ultimately demoralizing for everybody if they're just
Yeah.
steeped in this ugliness all the time. And earlier
Yeah.
you were talking
Yeah.
about this kind of formal, this like blob
Yeah.
artistic tendencies now, and somebody brought that up, and that's happened in advertising of the past 5 years. That even when they're illustrating for advertisements, they're just using this kind of faceless blobs with tiny heads and big giant arms. They look like almost like balloon people, and there's nothing attractive about it at all, and it's not just neutral. There's something seriously off about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't generally like arguments that make the case for, no, the situation that we're living right now is absolutely unique and it has never been done before and this is a catastrophe and yada yada. But I do think that there's a uniqueness about the time that we're living in right now, because the aesthetic, the aesthetic that is out in the public and is considered mainstream, and that uh, academia and people in the creative field are gravitating towards, is getting closer and closer to the
Mm.
basically the ethos of hell in Dante's comedy. Nothing, everything is shifting, everything is formless. There is nothing,
Mm.
and everything just repeats over and over again in loops. And so it's I don't think that we have
Yeah, it would be hard to say
witnessed
that
that
that we
at
did,
any other
right?
point in history.
The world has never been this connected instantaneously before as it is now. So it's easier to spread those kinds of bad ideas and
Right,
just flood people's
right,
consciousness with it on a global scale.
right, right. You could maybe make a case like you find in like certain cultures and whatnot. Like, I personally, I believe that those are intrinsically ugly. I don't think that there's, yeah, I don't think, but yeah, no, like this particular form of formlessness and aiming
Yeah,
towards
and
that,
it appeared at a time
I don't think that we've ever seen before. I think
the
that's something new that
psychological
has appeared with
and
the internet.
medical universe was encouraging people to mutilate their bodies and to deface themselves. And if it's not through surgery, then it's through like extreme body modifications, and that's all happening at the same time, as almost as if there's this
Yeah,
desire somewhere to have the human race just completely physically deform itself. It's inside and out.
yeah, and it's not a coincidence that this is
Mm,
happening
yeah.
with the first few generations that have been raised on the internet. Like there's a gigantic disconnect in between what is physical reality, what is
Hmm.
tangible, and then
Yeah.
what the internet provides you with, which is basically
Right. And I think, Rachel,
bodilessness.
you were
Like
talking about that last
you're
week,
not
how
tied to
hard it is to
physical
come
reality
back,
anymore.
to the
Yes.
internet and
After
being
being
away
in
from
a
it
city for 2 weeks, 10 days, and then suddenly having to be back online, which is where we live so much now.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and I did notice a difference when I moved over here, of people living online a lot more, and yeah, just not a. I have an interesting impression about America as a country after living here for 6 years. It's like it's almost like
Whoa,
I
that's
know.
a great description.
it feels like a
It feels
slumber
like
party
that,
in which
doesn't
the
it?
parents have left and they never came
Yeah.
Well, partly depending on where you live. I mean, I
it
live in a
does.
part of Chicago that was built,
So it
like my building was built in 1910, so it's still in a neighborhood that was built before the cars were completely in control of the
Mm.
landscape. But everything that's been built around the cars, unless you're
right,
lucky enough to
you
live
have more
in
walkability.
subsets of things like the subdivision I grew up in the 70s was walkable for us kids, right? But to get anywhere in the city, you had to be in a car. So this is the cars design the cities around them, so they're machines, and then we're being designed in the internet according to things like, okay, for example, everything always happens for a purpose, right? Me not being able to get this stream started because there was something wrong with the way I set the computer up, and computers are completely inflexible and rigid for no, they can't figure, if you get one little thing wrong, one letter stroke, one this that or the other stroke, they freeze, right? So there's this, we have to train ourselves to be completely rigid in
Mhm.
their in relationship with them, because otherwise everything breaks, right? That feeling of being trapped is real, because if you make a mistake in the way you encode something, computer error goes bananas on us, right? And that sort of being habituated to the
Yeah.
machines it's deadening. That we're going to use this in the story. We've realized that the place they end up in hell is going to look a lot like this.
Uh-huh.
we,
It's very, yeah, hell is very
hell,
cold.
hell is very mechanical.
It's more the Nordic
How to
idea.
get them there is, you know, the
Yeah.
other thing that we've recently figured out in the last month or so. So it's like, yeah, the story is completely taken shape, and everything that we've set up in this act is as backstory is you're going to, even the beautiful and gorgeous things that happen in this part of the story, you're going to lose by the time they get completely taken up into the dragon's coils.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this was when the world was still beautiful. So to give you some examples of other things that we've done. So here Aisha took the Bernini elephant and then transformed it into our magnificent icon, realizing that this kind of twinning of real place inspiration and mythological significance is what we've been doing in our previous stories too. So these are just because I was in Rome and I found the other pictures. That in Aurora Borealis, we have the griffin coming down through this oculus and grabbing the panda off the altar and whisking him off to, you know, the griffin nest in the Magic Mountain. This one was, of course, modeled on the Pantheon, which was right by the elephant. I just saw, and what was interesting. Our entire story set in Rome. Who knew? I did it. The thing is, we've been just this is an interesting thing. It's like maybe Rome is significant because it's a giant portal to the mythological, right, and the mystical and the transcendent. You know, could it be that the Eternal City actually has some like power? Never. No, that wouldn't happen.
Not just an advertisement.
It's not just an advertisement. And I suppose this also fits a little bit with what we were talking about earlier. It's like, how do you use the old things for inspiration for new art? Well, guess what? It's alive, right? We saw this, you know, we knew the Pantheon was the right image, and then Colleen, who did the pictures for Aurora Borealis, you know, when we said we need the griffin coming down and grabbing the panda and whisking him off, and it's like, yeah, sure, beam of light, right there it is. And what's funny about my photograph of the beam of light coming down through the oculus here is you couldn't see the light as clearly with your naked eyes. The light beam showed up better in the photographs.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, which was kind of like, you know, so which portal are we using to see the portal of the open? I mean, and the oculus is actually open to the sky. You see birds going in and out of it, right? So I've been thinking about how, you know, we have the griffin is a Christ figure descending on that light to rescue the panda from. Oh, this was in no, I won't go there. There's a place in New Orleans where they used to sell slaves that has an oculus like this, and I'm like, yes, the griffin's rescuing the panda from slavery. No, wait, that's too many layers.
Yeah, I don't remember us talking about that.
No,
one. That's
it's like,
I need to look that one up now.
living art should do this, right? It should take you into multiple registers of history, allegory, morality, anagogy, which is what the ancient and medieval and Baroque art clearly was meaning to do. It's like it participates in the multi-layered reality of our creation. And if all the modern art does is make jokes at the expense of, you know, and be ironic, it's doing a disservice to its own potential.
Yeah. And definitely, even if you're looking at something like entertainment art, like what you would see in movies or whatnot.
We love Pirates of the
Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean
did this on a lot of levels.
I believe is a favorite in the show. Yes, but if you see, like, we rewatched them recently, all of them, and if you look at their set design, their costumes and everything, all of them are based on real world references. So that's the importance of creating good art, that the fact that it needs to be tied to something that already exists, and that as human creatures we can resonate with. I don't really think that you can create from utterly nothing to begin with, which is what some of the people
Mhm.
in the modern art
Right.
movement are trying to do, and obviously it's a mess because
References,
they're pulling from nowhere.
you know, order and shape and beauty, and they have to do the opposite.
Yeah, and that's what you see in the most cruel examples is
Well, so
artists
they
that
have
will
in fact, they
literally
have to
take all
start
that
they
legacy and
you know,
just try to
because only
pervert
God
it,
creates kind of a thing.
destroy it, and deface it.
That they're having to start from something, and they're the only thing they can do, as you said, deconstruction, right, is destroy,
Right.
because they're not trying to work in harmony with the reference. And it's wonderful talking with
Yes.
you about these pictures, because we know we've been, I tend to think in references
No.
because I'm doing like history lectures and I'm trying to show you what the situation was like, or here, this is how to think about it because it's an image that we have of their thinking. But what you've just given me is a sense of, yes, that the art it's multidimensional when we are referring to things in reality that themselves are multidimensional.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that at least for me as an artist, AI generated images are so obvious. They're so blatant every time that I look at them because they do not have that um, level of intentionality in the choices of the layers. Meaning, like, if you ask me to design, I don't know, even like the set for our act two, obviously I'm going to look for, like, sure, I will stick to the references that you provide me with if there's a set of specific places or visuals that you want me to base the design upon. But if not, like if I have some free range as well, I am gonna look for places that are within my lived experience of places that I've been at. This would work, or this ties up with this historical period, and that leaves my mark as a unique individual. Whereas AI art is incapable of doing that.
That's a good way of putting
not,
it. Yeah.
there's nothing about it that seems intentional. It just looks
Yeah.
pretty, but it's the same
There's no
level of
depth.
finish of pretty. There's nothing about it that
Mhm.
is no, it's flat. There's nothing about it that is remarkable in any way or that is unique. And of course, like my biggest gripe with it is that all of it, especially if you look at the women,
Yeah.
absolutely all of the women, you can tell.
Well, so that's funny
Yeah.
because
AI
we
is
started with yours
basically
are,
trained on
books
porn.
of my
Like,
Eliza, and then we make her put her in the rainbow dress and stuff. And yet your Eliza looks, I mean, and so does Zay's, right? It's like they look like real women
They look like real women, right?
whom you can care about, even if they're being, yeah.
exuberant and whatnot. Yeah, it's another one of the things that I see a lot with, I guess a phenomenon is like Instagram face. But if you go watch the movies of like old Hollywood or whatnot, even in the 70s, like if you see somebody like what's her name, the late wife of Roman Polanski, that, yes, Sharon Tate. Like you see somebody like Sharon Tate, and she's a beautiful woman, but there's
Mhm.
nothing about her face that looks like the Instagram face. Nothing. And yet, like the aesthetic for women that we're gravitating towards now, it's a very, very
It is, and I
plastic
just
surgery. It's
saw a
very,
very
very, a very
disturbing
particular look,
video
which
about
is generated by
plastic
the internet.
surgeries in Asia where women are trying to look like anime dolls. It's creepy. It's really creepy.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is eerie, and I think that is what makes it so creepy. It's not.
Yeah.
It's beyond the fact that you're engaging in in severe body mutilation. You want to look at certain
Yes,
creepy
they
because
look like
the aesthetic is
porcelain
creepy.
dolls,
Like
like
the
really
features
creepy
themselves are
porcelain
creepy.
dolls.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's like, okay, we're
Yes.
way past the window of beautiful or attractive, and we're just
Right, but
getting
also
into
it's also
uncanny
fetishism
valley. We're
too,
like,
because these are like anime,
We're coming full circle.
schoolgirl type looks that they got with the big giant eyes and the tiny
Yes.
little mouth and the big pigtail hairs. It's bizarre.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and fun colors. Yeah. It's the same aesthetic.
Well, we will
that
say
it's
Mhm.
just
that,
it's
Yeah.
extremely
so our
unnatural, and it's broad because of the
I have
internet.
another example
essentially.
from my
Yes.
Rome tour, and then we have some examples
not-
of the actual characters that you did. But I'm thinking of that this is so with the Griffin and the Pantheon we were trying to show, sort of transcendent there. With this image, it was the Fountain of Life shown at the beginning of the casino,
Oh.
which was doing exactly what it's like. What happens when you corrupt the source? And
That's amazing.
yeah, the Fountain of Life image is based on the oldest baptistry in Rome, right? This was the baptistry at St. John Lateran. It was the place where Christians were made in Rome for centuries. I knew about
That's
it because
incredible.
it shows up in the Carolingian images. There's two famous manuscript images of it because Charlemagne took his sons there to be baptized, right? So it's the place of new life. And of course, what we did with to mark the problem that our story
Yeah.
is showing you is at the beginning of the casino. This is where Damien meets Eliza, is at the Fountain of Life, but it's been turned into the Fountain of
It
the
looks like a
Dragon.
disco.
Yeah, it's the casino fountain now that it takes you not into new life, but into the betting and gambling and the games of chance that the casino is tempting everyone into. So this I like
An imitation of adventure. Yeah.
right. But hopefully it's it's not just this creepy image of rainbow place fountain with the dragon in it, but it is in fact referencing the place that it ought to be and has failed to become, right? So we're also trying to play off that referent to the ways in which we've corrupted what we should be becoming. But okay, so we were talking about the characters. This is the cast of characters that you've met by the end of Act 1, and they all should be somewhat familiar looking. Because but we didn't say it in the poem at all, right? It's like it's not in the text, it's only in the images. So there's certain like clues and hints about the meaning of everything hidden completely visually in the source material that we gave the artists for these story characters. And we want you to see what Aisha's done with the woman at the bottom, right? Whose name is Helen Cole in the story. Everybody know what she looks like, right? This is also, there's clues.
Everybody our age would anyway.
There's clues to the layered significance of each of the characters who themselves need to be, just like the elephant needs to be a real elephant fighting a real serpent. These characters need to be really themselves in the story, but they have real life sort of models for us because I think it's also been helping us write, like to have a real person that we're modeling this sort of trope on.
A great deal, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise we just like, we've made these characters up. We don't have that much practice making characters up yet. And
we didn't want a one-to-one. It's this person here in history, and we didn't want a plastic fake person either. So it was good to have some aspects of a real person to put in there. That helped a lot.
Right. So here is Helen's source material. She is on the one hand in her white dress, and then we gave her a dress. So everybody in Act 2 is dressed in proper Elizabethan costume. We completely researched this, and I held them. Everyone wanted to dress them in the 17th century. That's Act 4. Stop it. Right.
Especially the men.
It's like they're looking for costumes for all the men characters, and Casey and Mel kept coming up with guys in these cavalier outfits, and I'm like, no.
Musketeers.
No musketeers. That's the next. That's not yet, right?
Yeah.
So
close enough, right?
We researched these very, very carefully so that they're within a decade or so of each other. And so we were not going to like satisfy every costume historian, but we're going to get you some sense of coherence, right? Which I think helped because the group scenes that Aisha's done are really great. So here we have Helen in her casino outfit plus Helen's costume, and here we have, drum roll, right? This first sketch that you showed us of Helen in her Elizabethan costume, which I liked simply as a drawing, even though it's just the drawing version of it. It's yeah,
Great. I love that she's looking at the moon.
that's significant. I wonder why.
Yeah. I wonder why. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, this costume was an absolute blast to draw. Like everything about it is just like, because you get with both Lorelai, Eliza, and Helen, you get 3 dimensions of
Yes.
Agree, absolutely.
a
Yes.
woman that has been destroyed by a sexual revolution, essentially. It's almost like composites of the same woman, but they're like in different aspects. And so Helen was also very, very, very appealing
She's
to
very
draw
sad.
because of
Mhm.
basically the sadness aspect that comes with it. Yes, she's a very, very sad character, and so the outfit is again like very, very
Mhm.
echoes up very well with Princess Diana's personality as well, because of that reason. Because it's modest,
Right.
it's contained,
It's
and
cute, but it's also very
deeply,
heavy,
deeply sad,
right? And
yet
so she's
elegant,
like
and
weighed
very,
down. And
very
I
beautiful
remember
looking.
Princess
So
Diana's wedding dress. People, in hindsight, years
yes,
after the wedding,
yes,
commented on how the dress seemed to be like swallowing her up, like yeah, yes. And it was almost like a metaphor for all of these
yes,
cares
huge,
that were just kind of swallowing her
huge and
up
heavy, and
in
just
her new life
everywhere.
because
Yeah,
she was very young when she married. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's almost like the dress itself expressed very well what her personality is. So in that sense, I barely had to do any work on my part on character design, because you guys provided amazing references. Like, yes, this makes absolute sense. This design is just gonna like come right off. Like it's not hard at all to figure out because everything is aligned together. Everything makes sense. I am
Well,
not getting
it was I mean, it's been a good challenge for
chaotic
us giving
briefs
you
in the sense
references.
of like, yes,
And so
go ahead and
you've given us here tonight your full board of references, which is wonderful, right? It's like the
well, that's only like a couple of parts, because if you see the
I think it
full
all,
reference board,
they
is
all lead
like an
into, I mean, the
absolute
jewels
monster
and
of
the dress designs and different faces of Diana and the place where we're imagining Helen's. So in Act Two, the different the characters that you've met in the casino by way of their wanting to go through the Wheel of Fortune to have to tell backstories for themselves, and they're not straightforward historical characters, right? They're also giving you some backstory at a kind of mythological level too. And Helen is telling about her estate, her family estate, where she is, and the grounds that it has, and the plants and the animals and such. And so we end up with this beautiful rendering. This is the fuller image that you have of she's in her costume looking at the moon, but with the estate and the deer and the light, and it's all there in your image board that you brought it together into this one. And saying, I think people think that the AI is going to be able to do this, and we know it can't.
no,
No.
no, again, because there's no discernment behind any of the decisions that go into the image. It's just
Mm-mm.
it goes by prompt, and it gives you a prompt. It gives you a mashup of prompts. That's what it gives you. Sadly, for a lot of people, that is enough in order
Yeah.
like what they want to consume from an image. But we come back into the problem of people being reprogrammed in order to attune their sensibilities to something that is lower,
Mm-hmm.
and that is way less good. Um, and yeah, like going back to the
I'll go back to the reference. Okay.
reference board, for example, there's like with the lighting, there's a couple of snapshots of, I think
Oh,
it's Nine
yeah.
Inch
Mhm.
See that?
Nails The Perfect Drug video. And that was instantly like when I was gonna start working on Helen's image, something that immediately popped in, because it's that spirit of
Mm.
her sadness. It's so
Mm-hmm.
gothic. It's just so heavy and just gloomy everywhere. So normally when I work, that there will be times in which images that come from music or music that comes from images, like it goes both ways around, like they will pop up. And this was one of the cases. It's like that video and that song, those are, yes, we need to grab those and put them into this image.
Another
one
thing I
way
was
or
thinking
another.
when
I
you're
don't know
saying
how,
that the
but-
dress fit her perfectly, but that they're all three of the female characters. So Eliza and Lorelai and Helen are the main women characters. With all the dresses were in fact Elizabeth's dresses. So that we got Lorelai's dress was one of
Yes,
Elizabeth's
yes.
a dress she had when she was younger, right? And this one was one that she had before she was queen, I think. So as a princess. And then the rainbow dress that Eliza's wearing is a court portrait that she had done when she was old, but they painted
Yes.
her as if she was young, right? So it's that we get her in the. See, there's mythological layers we didn't even mean to put in because we were so trying to make sure that we were sticking to Elizabethan dress. She's maiden, mother, and crone very nicely in these three
Yes.
three women images. And
Yes,
Aisha, what you
yes.
said about that they're all devastated by the sexual revolution, but in different ways, right? So Helen will find out in Act 3 is, she's got
Yes.
like the business suit on by that time. So that we're transforming these women. They're all corrupted in some way from what they should be, which is, the beautiful princess that Damien loves. But they're definitely different themselves, and that's been interesting
Yes.
for us as mainly women
Yes.
writing the story. It's all of us women now. We had Ken to start with when we were beginning, but that to differentiate the women, because there is a sort of feminine character that they all share, but they are all different as well. That's been a challenging thing to do, differentiating Lorelai from Eliza and Eliza from Helen.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that it was at least in Act 2 very successful how you guys did that separation, because it's very, very their personalities. It's not that their personalities are very differentiated. It's just that probably because you tied them to real characters and to real personalities. But it's really, really apparent that even though they're joined by being different facets of the same broken woman, they have their own motivations and they have their own desires out of their own separate
Thank you.
identities.
Thank you.
So
We also
I think that
realized
you guys
so
achieved
Diane
that
is
successfully.
associated with the moon. It means
Yeah.
moon. Her name means moon, and when we figured that out, it's like, okay, so Helen gets to be Helen Cole, so she's like the daughter of Helena. Okay, blah blah blah. It's like, but this is the joy of using actual real life references to figure out your symbolism, because real life should be shimmering with all of these relationships, and you find out that the names we carry in real life actually point to things.
And it is. I would argue that reality is that way. I think that
Yes.
what we're seeing right now is an
Agreed.
effort
Absolutely.
to strip that from reality. I think that's what modernity did and what postmodernism keeps doing, even though it tried to
it's-
break with
And it's
modernity.
accelerating. Yeah.
I think that, well, yes, was it? I mean, a bunch of fairly meaningful guys have talked about this, like Rod Dreher. I think that Jonathan Pageau has talked about it as well, like the phenomenon of disenchantment out of reality. I think it's basically that, and how we're seeing right now, like a return to the occult and whatnot, because people are still looking for that
And
sense
that's,
of
I mean,
enchantment,
so
just in
just
the wrong
bluntly,
place.
that's why we're doing Draco Alchemicus, is meant to point people to the proper enchantment, as opposed to. So Aisha, you did a set of tarot cards, which was one of the reasons I knew you could do our pictures, right? That, I know a lot of this, new age, whatever, how you call it, well, what's interesting is modern occultism is even then a stripped down version of what was actually a full resonant, creational, incarnational understanding of the relationship between creature and creator. So it's sad. It's like the occult that people are turning to and hoping that it's going to give them a richness is itself a flat version of. It's a decaf.
Yes,
It's
it's like a decaf occult.
You know,
It's like-
medieval
Occult
medieval
light.
Christianity. You get none of the charge, and
It is. Yeah. Yes, and I mean, among my background, like spiritually speaking, I was exposed several times to those circles, occult circles, and it never took because of that reason. Because I was just like, this is ridiculous. This is so fake. This is just like, there's nothing about this that is appealing in any way because not like this sucks. Just like you cannot even like
just
make your
basic
rituals
stuff like
pretty.
that, right?
What are
You're gonna make a liturgy, like we need like really, you know, beautiful stuff, not right. That and that I like. I spent, you know, my I don't know whether it's a
Yes.
claim to fame or just infamy, but there was the whichever presidential election cycle we were in last time when Marianne Williamson was running, and there were biographies of her. She's, you know, like witchy and occult and,
Oh,
and
right.
things like that, right? She used to. This was so funny to read, right? She lived in Houston, right? And she used to go to this bookshop near Rice University campus, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know that bookshop. I used
Well,
to
that's
go
a weird
there
small
too. I
world.
know exactly which bookshop she used to hang out in. I bought lots of
Yeah.
tarot cards there, right? So it, you know, it's that kind of longing. Chesterton talks about this a lot, right? It's like
Yeah.
this sort of fantasy version of what what should be the living symbolism of our faith has been turned into, you know, sort of. I understand why people are drawn to the crystals and the incense and the stories and things like that. But guys, we're telling you, there's better.
Yeah,
There's better out there. The real stuff is even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why they're trying to prettify it right now, especially for young women online. Like where you see, I mean, at least when back in the day, I would just see like again like the images of the cute crystals and the whole witchy aesthetic in
Oh, yeah.
Tumblr.
I've seen that too.
It makes me feel like internet girl, but
Internet crawl.
So what we're admitting is that we can pull this story off because we've actually done our research, right?
Yes.
We
Yeah.
were there, ladies, and the Aisha, what you're describing is that sorrow of finding out that it's shallow, right? It's simply.
yeah,
We use some of this. I used some of this when we were writing our very first poem, Centrism Games, and I had the lady priest get invited by witches to go do this abortion ritual.
That was super creepy.
That was super creepy. But you know, I had the books on my shelf to draw on in order to give them text for their made up ritual of yeah.
Mhm.
It's interesting because it's the desire that we have for participating in the beauty and not allowing ourselves actually to go to the source, which is strange.
Right, they
yeah,
gave
yeah.
up the church, and
So here now we have the
they're
table.
trying to recreate
Liza is presiding
on it.
Speaking about-
Do her there's some sacramental imagery that for sure in this particular episode with drinks and cookies and things like that. But anyway, would you like to tell us about what you were thinking about when you drew this is the Eliza at the head of the table with the mage is about to unveil the crystal ball that she has. The crystal ball, the mage here is designed off of John Dee because Elizabeth had her, you know, John Dee, her occult angel scrying advisor to be her spy, and then our hermaphroditic angel that is the guardian for this scene, this act.
yeah, it was very fun
Yeah,
to
that's,
just like,
that's really awesome.
These are all
looking.
very carefully sourced and true alchemy books. Yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
yes, super. Speaking about which, when I was back in Madrid, I did see a physical copy of Splendor Solis. Yes, it's from a publishing house that I think that they do copies of medieval manuscripts and whatnot.
Moliero.
Lovely.
I don't know.
I think it's
can't
they
remember
because
now,
I get
but
their emails and their booklets and such. Yes,
it's possible. I'll
I
check
think
that.
they do one of Splendor
Yeah,
Solis.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was we literally stumbled upon their physical store, and I was like,
That's
"You
awesome.
know what this is? I know what this is. Draco Hippicus is
Oh.
chasing me."
This is you in Madrid doing that, and I was there in Rome finding, the Pantheon and the elephant and the yes, it's
Yeah,
this
it's like
you get into this story, it's gonna chase you around in reality.
yes, no, it does.
Bookstore. That's my question.
Well, I would have definitely wanted to go back. Yeah, it was like a visit of like we stayed way too long. Taking into consideration that we could not probably have bought
Yeah.
anything because
Yeah, those
everything,
real
of course, was
facsimiles,
extremely
trust me,
expensive. So,
I study them. It's like, well, there's a reason that, even in the
yeah,
even libraries, have to be persuaded to purchase them. Anyway, so this table you drew for us is amazing because we had we said, well, it has to be kind of Mad Hatter Tea Party like, and definitely, sort of high tea. In
Well,
this sense, it's not proper.
the
It's
chair behind her head, but it looks like she looks like the high priestess. It's really awesome
yes.
looking.
yeah, that was again super super fun to do. I think that the more that I work as an artist and into putting these things into the design, the more attuned I am able to realize
Hmm.
why I'm putting
Mm.
what I'm putting where I'm putting it. But sometimes it just comes like I cannot even unless you ask me the question, I won't be able to tell you why I put that there. But it just works. It makes sense. And then it's into like, well, yeah, there's actually layers here, and
Rachel
this
says
is
it
why
all the
you're
Oh,
doing
I
time.
was gonna say that happens to us when we're writing constantly. It's like I just know that this is the right word. I don't know why, or
it.
I'm gonna dig in and fight because I'm sure. No, but the thing that we'll find is because this is another layer, guys, in your art, right? If you want to get these kinds of experiences more, um, finding the rhyme will often give us the right word, and saying
Yeah.
so it has to rhyme. We don't know
Yes.
why. Okay, there's the word, and then once it's all in place, you're like, that's the only way it could be. It must be that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Now it's right, and then later you find out that was because we'll like be using. For example, we put a dog in the story. We didn't know why we needed a dog. We figured out by Act 4 why we really, really, really need the dog, right? And these kinds of
Yeah.
intuitions are given to us somehow. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like that. It works in the same way in a painting. Like if you put something down and it looks wrong, it's wrong. But if it looks right, it should stay there. Like you're good. Um, so designing the table was really, really fun as well. Since I figured that the table is
Hmm.
featured in so many images throughout the act, I'm like, okay, we're probably gonna have to design this. This is gonna have to be drawn from multiple different angles. We're gonna have to have a track record of where every important prop and object is sitting. So we might as well just do a basic layout of how the table is going to look like, what is
Yes,
going
you
to be
did. Here's
served
your
at the
image board
table.
for
That
that
was
one. It's
so
like
fun.
well, when you're clearly looking at the Marie Antoinette movie, which they did wonderful
Yes,
Oh
designs for
yeah, I could
theirs.
see that.
Yes.
amazing. Yes. When I was trying to look for reference images that kind of depicted that level of lavish abundance of just not just from a gut perspective that that the food itself looks appetizing, but
Hmm.
just it's just visually overwhelming as well. Now, like that is not completely historically accurate to the feast images that we have from the 16th century, but it's still it worked for the purposes of the
Well, for the
act.
idea, so yeah,
So
the things in on Eliza's table, like the tiered trays of tarts and such. I think they're classically English tea now, but I think they're more 19th century. Which is why I say it's like the Mad Hatter's Tea Party,
yes,
so it comes out of that 19th century service of foods. But the thing is, even from the 15th century, the kinds of displays that they would have on these tables were always quite fanciful, right? It's like even the 15th century, you'd have whole like sugar, castles. Not sugar yet. Sugar comes more in the 18th and 19th centuries, but they'd have sculptures and
Yeah.
things like you put the stuffed pig on the table, that kind of animal, like cooked and then
Yeah,
represented as if it's like still still together, is
Birds and pies, right? That was a thing too, I
right,
think.
the living birds and pies, all of those
it's
follies. I
it's
mean, we have
it's
descriptions of them, but we don't necessarily have that many pictures of them, so we have to figure out, like, well, what could have they meant? Yeah, yeah.
yeah. How do they look like exactly? It's like what reference images do you go from to try to invent these or recreate this in one way or another? One of the things that came up when I was looking for uh, late medieval feasts, if you want to name it that way, was like that, like the
Oh,
I think it was named cockentrice, which is basically that, like putting together different pieces of animals in order to create this mythological creature into your platter, which is again like such a fun thing to do, such an unconventional thing to do when setting your table. But we ended up going for a more
Yes. Well, I
conventional
think you
roasted
so
pig,
what
just for visual clarity.
you were talking about how you okay, so she had this we wanted you guys to see the level of like detail and prep that Aisha put into this. And we're saying you've mentioned Jonathan Pajot a couple times. He worked with Heather, and I've forgotten her last name, and she did some of the sets for, in fact, one of the Pirates movies,
Heather
right?
Pollington.
She did
oh, nice.
I think it's
Oh, I didn't know that.
the third one. Maybe she was showing some designs that she did for the chair backs in a
Mhm.
scene where King George is at table. It's a table scene, right? And Jack ends up dancing all over the food and stuff like that, and eating
Yeah.
custard
Yeah,
cakes and stuff. But she did the embroidery designs for that, and she did some like uh I think she did some pub signs and things like. Anyway, that she did a video with Jonathan on how what the kind of prep that she had to do to put together all of these images. You guys, if you love the images and the background of stuff, this is what it takes for everything to come together,
Yeah.
including for Aisha, that you said you had to design out the
yeah,
table. Here we have your table design, and then this is where you actually are using your computer skills, right, to be able to rotate it around so that you could see the right layout from different perspectives. And what I love in the sequence of pictures, the sequence of illustrations, you have the food disappearing, right? It's got bites out of it. So by the end of
yes,
it, they've eaten it
yeah,
all.
yeah.
It's great because, like, we didn't
That
really
is the
talk about that
storytelling
so
at
much
its
in the
finest.
poem. But by the end of it, they're ready to dance, right? Because they've eaten all the food.
Right. Yeah, I guess at that point they've eaten
So
everything, they've
whatever they're
drank
tripping on
everything,
by
so
the
they're
end, it's
just ready.
definitely got cake in it, right?
Yes, especially because it's very important in the poem. Like in the stanzas, there are mentions to
Hmm.
several different things that are part of the feast that is gonna tweak a little bit the perception of our characters in one way or another. So it was very, very important to design those very specifically. When you're doing in another field of illustration, when you're
Mm.
doing, let's say, cards for a game or something like that, and you oftentimes have let's say prop cards. It's just you don't really get a sexy character, you don't get like a monster, it's just a prop, it's just a coin pouch, it's just I don't know, an apple. The rule is that you have to make that prop the best looking ever prop or piece of food, the best looking item. It needs to look as appealing as any character image or any monster image that you would do. So in that sense, this was a very, very useful
Mm.
principle and skill to translate into the table. It's like try to make everything as appealing, pretty, and visually inviting as you possibly can.
You succeeded.
So
Yes,
it was
yes.
fun. It was really
Well, because I mean, and for our purposes, of course, it had to be appealing because this is what Eliza is using to enchant them. That she's invited them to this table, and they're all going to tell their
right.
stories, and you're going to end. It's like you as reader of our story are hopefully going to find you. It's like they are spell casting themselves. All of the characters are, because they're
Yeah.
getting you into their own characters and into their own layers of magic, even as
It was,
Eliza's is drawing them into hers. So
yeah.
the multiple layers there, and the table had to be including, and this is one of the pieces, the ship, that we gave a specific reference for, because we said
Hmm.
you have to have this salt cellar shell ship on the table,
Yeah.
because everything, the all of there's
have this.
okay. And one, guys, if you like the occult imagery, I'm promising you medieval biblical exegesis is way richer. And that all of the things that we're showing you, like the elephant and the dragon and the food and the table, the ship, these are all, I mean, just bluntly, they're all Christ references in some way. And the medieval artists always knew this. So this kind of ship with the shell, I was just reading a wonderful book by um, um, Spike Bucklow, who does painting conservation, and he conserved a painting from the 17th century, the Paston Treasure, that includes a number of these kinds of these kind of shell things, these shells on stands and such like that. And it's like, I didn't know all of that before I chose this image to put on this table, but it all came together, right? They all have all of these layers of real creatures embellished with art, used in particular ways for salt, matter. All of it matters, because it all has spiritual significance, because it's materially real. It's really wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially with the salt,
It had to be
it
a
only
ship.
made sense that it was a
Yeah.
ship. Like, of course, it had to be a ship.
So how does she do it? We have some example. You gave us some behind the scenes examples of how you situate the characters too. This is the potential double spreader poses, your different poses, the different ways you're trying to arrange the characters
Oh
around
yeah,
the table.
yes. So this was actually a pretty nifty tool that I used. It's I do use that on occasion for my work process, just because it's way easier. I was not doing it with a 3D
Oh,
software, I would be doing it just like by sculpting little figurines and just them. And this has been done by illustrators for the longest time. Before 3D
I had
software,
no
everybody
idea.
used to
Huh.
do their own little sculptures and then light them and whatnot. Yes, yes, because with illustration, a lot of the times, if you're working on fine arts, you're working straight from a reference that you are translating into your piece of paper and whatnot. But with illustration is like, how do I paint a goblin? Like, I have, like, a goblin doesn't exist. So you have to construct um, your own reference model uh, with enough information that is going to allow you to
Hmm.
translate that into a believable result onto your paper. So with this 3D software, it was really neat because this basically what I need is just, okay, I just need basically the line of action of all of the poses. I need some lighting. Bam, composition is ready. So then using that, I already have a baseline to go from, and then I can do the line art on top of it, and it just goes way faster than if I would sculpt the figurines, but that would be way cooler, and you would end
Well,
up
then
with a
yes,
tangible
then we could do.
but
I mean, things that I
alas.
saw in Rome. There was in Santa Maria Sopra Minerva, where the elephant was. They had a little diorama doll's house sequence of like the nativity. It's like the nativity sequence and then the passion sequence, but all in a little like model house with characters in it. So we, yeah, or like the giant nativity scenes that the Italians really like making. We could end up with some of those, the dolls in all the houses.
Yes.
But what I like about your program is it looks like those posable drawing figures, right? The little mannequins. Yeah.
Yes, they're like mannequins. They're basically, yeah, yeah. That there's a they have a few models on the software which I find particularly funny because they're very out there. You get your basic mannequin, and then you can get your splayed mannequin, then you can get a werewolf. It's very, very strange, but so it's like
I'm thinking,
I
wow,
did use a
how often
werewolf
do
for
people draw
the
werewolves that it's
dog
part of the
pose.
basic program of, oh,
In fantasy, it's pretty,
good to
yeah, it's
know.
pretty frequent. Yeah, apparently, it's pretty. It is pretty frequent because I believe that is what this software is in
Yeah.
particular catered towards, like fantasy illustrators. So we have, then you can attach props. It's really, really nifty and very, very useful. But yeah, it's if anything, it's rewarding just going from this like a
Mhm.
dry 3D render of mannequins into the final, because you don't really see the image when you're looking at the basic mannequin composition. It's just like, what
Well,
is
see,
this?
if you were a
This
real
is
Renaissance artist, you'd have
awful.
people doing that for you, right? You'd have your own set of, we
Yes. Yes, I would have
things
my
we saw
own.
in Rome, like Caravaggio's, right? You
Oh, you would know.
seeing them in these settings. Or oh no, my favorite was one of the statues in St. John Lateran, who it's meant to be portraying one of the apostles, James the Greater, and he looks so much like the man who must have been the model for the
Yes.
sculpture, and it's just like. Did you
Yeah.
realize in all of these ancient paintings you're seeing real people who were
Yes, and that's
standing there,
strange.
held up, and then the
Yes.
also I
There's
was also looking at some of Robert Flood's books today on designs of the cosmos and things like that. And one of the things he had was the sort of perspective frame that the Renaissance artists used. So you'd it's like a grid, right? And you put it in front of the picture, and then that helps you draw. Artists are always using
Yep.
more tools than I think those of us who think, oh yes, you just drew that off the top of your head, didn't you? It's like,
That's
no.
honestly, that's what I thought.
Now you know.
Oh, a sketch pad, and you just
No,
I
they
have no
actually
idea.
refer to life. That's why their art looks compelling.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. And believable, because that's the end of the game. At least, if depends on what type of art you're doing, but in one way or another, it needs to be believable. Otherwise, there's your viewer
Which
is
is
not
what
going to
you're saying
relate to
the
it in
AI
any
art
capacity.
isn't really doing, right? It's sort of like
Right.
it's the same. We've noticed this. We've played with
Exactly.
the AI a bit. I want to understand what it's doing, so that I will know how to recognize it if it comes at me. But we asked it to rewrite some of our stanzas, some funny poems we wrote about Trump, I think, and
Yeah,
realizing
that
the
was
way it rewrites it, it rewrites in the same way it draws. It feels on surface. Right. It feels like
Well,
there's no structure behind it. It matches it if you're looking
Yeah.
just at, oh, it rhymes and oh, it has the meter, but it doesn't mean anything.
and it got worse the more times we had it
Right.
redo it, because it ended up being like a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
And if you
It
kind of
deteriorates
scrolled past it or
progressively.
glanced at it quickly or something, you
Yeah.
could get the illusion that it's giving you something. So I guess AI art works if you're just
Right.
scrolling
Yes.
past it really
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
fast.
You Yes, if you're seeing them in like thumbnail form, they can totally fool you. I have this issue if I'm looking for reference in a place like Pinterest, for example, and I see a thumbnail that from afar it looks good, is like, oh, there seems to be something interesting here. Then I click on it, it's AI. Because the moment that you actually zoom into the picture and examine the different elements one by one, you're like, everything is random here. Nothing is based with intention, and it's unrelatable.
Yeah,
I cannot. This does not feel real.
Even, I mean, it's like I find the writing stuff bothers me intensely. It must be even worse for you looking at the pictures than it is for us. When we see the AI picture, and it's like, oh yeah, but I can feel the absence of all of the things that should go into it when you look at those pictures.
Yeah, yeah, they feel like they feel very uncomfortable when you're looking at them as an artist. At least for me, they do. It's just kind of like something cold and wet just slopped
an
in
image.
your neck. It's just very.
So you guys see, it's like
It is uncomfortable.
we promised our Kickstarter that we were raising money to help with the art, right? We meant it.
Yes, we did.
You
It's worth
because
it.
because a lot of artists, in the indie artists, which is, we fit in that category of publication, but
Hmm.
they're worried about not doing stuff quickly enough. It's like you're not going to win on that, because quick is not a solution to this situation, which is wanting to make things that resonate for us and stay deeply in our attention. Um, yeah, so we're happy to be working with someone who's actually doing all the work that Aisha is, not just
Yeah.
throwing prompts into a machine and expecting the machine to do it. We also have, so you go with, this is the layout
Yeah.
for Demaro in his portrait picture.
Oh, wow. That's striking looking all on its own.
Yes, well, this is going to be on the cover. So we've got
Yeah.
several variants on it. So the mannequin layout.
Yeah, which again, it's just dry and strange, and it's pretty much like a
Right.
note that I make to
But
myself
you
that
still have to
only
figure out the
I
pose for him, right?
understand.
Because we've given you
Yeah.
in our instructions, we've given you mood, and you were saying one of the things that you
Yes.
needed to learn as this part of his skill was like facial expressions and things like that, right? So you've got his hands going here, and the mood is coming
Yeah.
out, but then we get with the line art, right? It's already wham, right? This feeling of, you know, well, one, I like this, that we gave one, that this ended up being chosen by our cover designer as the cover. But
Good one.
well,
Yeah.
I was wanting the dragon battling the elephant image, but this one is better for our cover because
This one, yeah, it's more compelling.
yeah.
Yeah, this is a stronger image overall. Yeah, and yeah, it's because when I was reading both, I mean, the brief was what I needed in order to organize everything that was going to go into the scene. But when I was reading the source material, the stanza, it's just kind of like that. Like what I got from Demaro was that he was just
Yes,
Mhm.
perfect.
on
Yeah,
a
he was
mental
tortured
breaking
by
point.
memory. And yeah,
So yes, yes. So it's like almost like a split, and so in order to do that, and that's part of your again, not necessarily your
Right.
skill as an artist, but also like your lived experience as a person. Um, and for in my background is that like I am able to put that into my work because it's an aspect of human nature that has always interested me, and therefore I have figured out a way to just inject it into my work. And so like the way that a pose can reflect, it's not just the
Mhm.
facial expression, but it's also like the pose that a character is in to express a certain emotion. That is something that you can rely on absolutely in order to convey something through your image. With the case of Demaro was like,
yep, yeah.
yep,
Well,
That's
and
your
perfect.
brain is breaking. So
here's the flat version before you've done the fuller light rendering. That he's between the two pillars that go with the temple, right? The Yakin and Boaz, but also it's the image that is in Bacon's New Atlantis of the ship sailing out between the two pillars at the pillars of Hercules, Straits of Gibraltar, right?
Hmm.
The pillars of Hercules that you sail through, going from the Mediterranean out into the Atlantic, and then the reiteration of the elephant dragon and the sort of that eye in the light is very popular 17th century image of that, God participating in the mystery here. But here Demaro is trapped in that um, uh, choice that he's having to make about which battle to take.
kind of like we with the images how the process kind of works for the process that I followed for all of these images, which is
Mm.
we go from the mannequin layout and to the line art. The line art is the most time consuming part because basically everything needs to be designed at that point. So not to be figured out whenever I actually get to painting. And then once I lay out
Yeah, I always love when you show us the line drawings. You're like, oh wow, that's great. And then
flats.
here comes the flat, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's finished. And you're like, no, 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 no. Here it is. Here's the final version. And it's like shining, right? And that's what it's like. You've created this. So much of our stories about them being in a city of light, and the effects of. I mean, we're in this city of light in the internet world of being in communication by way of the light, the whatever it is that, however it is that we're transmitting these in the computer, and so that they're trapped in that light. I mean, we had Helen looking at the moon, so that has that one level of the celestial light, and he's now, I don't know, you did so much with this one, including the for his costume, those buttons were on the reference we gave you, right? Those diamond buttons. He looks like straight out of Dumas or something.
Yes.
Diamond stud buttons.
Yeah, that and all of the, which again, I wish that I could have spent so much more time just rendering all of the little bits and pieces of the costumes because they were just fantastic references.
You need to simplify them. They work better as illustrations when they're just that.
No,
that
you need to simplify these. Like,
it's the alchemy. You have to distill it.
Exactly. Yes. You need to distill what's important and keep what's important there, and then get rid of the rest, which is
we're having to do the same thing by writing.
It's really hard, but it's very humbling too.
So
and it's good for you.
Oh yeah. Although we did expand it to 2 extra acts, so we're not.
I hadn't told her that yet.
Yeah.
So, sorry. Darn it! I did it again. Sorry. I just blurt things out.
But my collaborator here. No, so anyway, it was supposed to be 5 acts. It's going to be 7.
It's gotta be 7. I mean, 7 again.
We thought so too.
7 makes more sense.
No, the thing is, it really does. We were doing 5 originally because it was Shakespearean, right? And so that made sense. And then no, 7. It had to be 7. And
it's just funny that we're sitting here saying, "Oh yeah, we have to be really economical with our story and our words." But we kind of expanded it. We failed just a little bit, but
7
I think it's
acts.
better for it.
No, it's better because the arc of introducing all the characters, the crisis, it also fits, like, it's, as Aisha said, it's symbolically better because it's the days of the week. It's the numbers of the planets. It fits on all sorts of levels. And the structure of the story makes absolute sense now. In ways that we were trying to cram it. It was like Cinderella's older sister's feet trying to cram into this slipper. It wasn't.
It was trying to make a word.
It was not going to. It was not going to fit. And now it definitely will. All of the pieces are there. We know where they are, and we're halfway. Kickstarter friends, we're halfway through writing Act 4. We promised you 5 acts, right? We didn't think about that. We just like we should run another Kickstarter for the last 2.
For the last 2, yeah. Surprise!
We are halfway through writing Act 4, so it's it's coming along. But we hope we've proven to you, by way of tonight's discussion, that it's the layers of thinking and design and skill that are going into this are worth it in the sense that we are all yearning for the feeling of being inside a story that has this level of reference, and we're just sick of. I mean, it's like if you like Pirates of the Caribbean and know what goes into making their costumes and their characters and their backstory and their all of this, everybody loves it, right? Nobody wants the stuff that comes out, that just fits the AI prompt quickly. We're going to do this right. So, but we're also doing it very steadily. It's been good, long, steady work. Yes. So
Yeah,
well, this too,
adjust it
we're also
to
mortal.
human scale and timing.
and no, what's funny about it is like academic, this is, it's turning out working on a more ordinary academic pace for me, right? That in the last 2 years that we've been working on these acts for this story, I've been writing one big giant article for a volume that was commissioned 10 years ago, and I'm going to be sending to press with the other pieces that have also been coming in over the last 2 years, hopefully within the next few weeks.
You need to buy champagne when that
Oh my
happens.
gosh,
10
I am
10 years is a
I've
long
been waiting
time.
on this. Well, some of it got interrupted by COVID, right? And
Hmm.
the publishers in their series, you could see there's a gap in the volumes that they got coming in over those years. The COVID years just wiped out all 2 or 3 years worth of work for most people. So it just slowed everybody down. But there's also, I mean,
Oof.
this is in my sort of reassuring our team, and our supporters. The volume that's going to be going to, you know, for peer review now is so much better than the one that we originally proposed 10 years ago. It's very interesting. It took some
That is
time. It
interesting.
took time for everybody in the project to get to the next level of work that we needed to be doing. So, I think this maybe pushing back against the feeling that just because we're on the internet and just because the robots can do stuff quickly, we all should. That's not the lesson. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and it's hard to deviate from that because it's kind of a tempo that is set and a tempo that everybody's dancing to. But yeah, should not be that way. Um, we're human, we're mortal. Um, real
Right.
tangible life, the one that you touch grass and do
Mhm.
actual things,
Well,
that
so the
has a
irony. So
different
this is
speed than
another pitch
internet
for our
life.
story and why it's the single most important thing that's being worked on right now. Um, is I think I mean, as a historian, I've been thinking about this, that the feeling that we have of the panic on the internet now is because suddenly all time is present. All of it's happening at the same time.
Yes,
And
yes, it's
this was for
everything is
me
happening at the
something
same time.
significant of being in Rome and, visiting all of these monuments and such. It's like on the internet now, because we can have access to all of this source material, all of these references, all of the things that historians have been using for centuries as our source material for our narratives that we're writing. It's all suddenly available right now, and I can spend so much time panicking in my scholarship, thinking
Yeah,
it's all out there now. I have to look it all up. Right? I have to look up all these manuscripts. I have to look up all these books. We are writing this story as a sort of exercise in this
yeah,
the layering, the revelation through different time periods that we're playing with, and the sort of horrible immediate present is a feature of what it's like being on the internet. It's like it's the 20th century, it's the 17th century, it's the 13th century, it's the 15th
Mhm.
century, it's the 10th century, all at the same time.
yeah. All
Yeah.
at once. Yeah, yeah, and there's certainly that temptation of mistaking the um, volume of information that the internet provides you with
Right.
with an equally abundant capacity on your part to take it all in, because you can't. It's absolutely, it's preposterous, like
Right.
the idea
Yeah,
that you
it's
Right.
true.
can't have that. No, only the mind of God works that way. So it's just funny, but again, like, it's funny because we stupidly find ourselves trying to do it again and again. I have it the same way. It's just it's an interesting type of FOMO,
Oh,
but
You're
that,
it's
gonna
yeah,
just
it
you're
like
is.
gonna love what happens to
appealing to your
Helen in Act
intellectual vanity.
3.
Like,
Yes, exactly. And so through our characters, we're trying to show the kinds of temptations that we're subject to, and one of them is this, right? This desire to just take it all in instantly, and have the the fullness of all knowledge now, which is again, Helen has that ambition, that it's it's sorrow in the end, and we're hoping by way of the story, which is why it now has 7 acts, because we figure out how to exactly to show all of this. It shows us the way out, which is no minor little ambition there. We're going to save the world. No, that there is a way out. We know what the way out is, but we've forgotten it, and we're trying to write everyone back into a version that we can appreciate now, right, through our own horror of what it is to be trapped, and tempted by the kinds of technology we actually have.
I wanted to say something we were talking about just a minute ago, that they're in all of these different time periods, but they're the same people, and they're not just archetypes. They're the same people in every single time period, because really any of us could be in any time period. We would be beset by the same temptations, maybe not the same way, but they would still all be the same temptations.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of it that way. Yes, but that we're time traveling. Well, it's sort of it's not quite that we're time traveling the characters. They are going from different time periods. They don't have any sensation of being in different time periods when they are going from one to the other.
No.
It changes the situation of the media situation that they're in. But you're right that because the characters themselves carry with them the particular focus that they have, we show that temptation at different times. Oh, wow, we're clever. See, but this is we just put it on the table. We had no clue why it mattered so much, and
well, it's true. We said, okay, now they're going to be here, and it's like we at a certain subconscious level we knew why we were doing it, but it didn't become clear until we're now into writing Act 4.
We're almost we were working on stanza 42 in Act 4 today. We're nearly to the exact middle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we thought we got to in Act 3, but there's a cool middle in Act 3 too.
Yeah.
No,
they're in the middle of the middle.
Well,
yeah.
The thing is that I'm glad that we ended up talking about this sort of layering process, because this is what we're trying to recover in reality. That this reference to the not just the three-dimensional world. That makes it sound silly. This reference to all of the ways we engage with creation.
Yeah.
And that through our art it's meant to be a celebration. That's what I was definitely seeing in Rome, which was gorgeous, right? That we participate in the liturgy. This is meant to be liturgical in many ways in our story. We participate in the liturgy. We participate in our study of history. We participate in our worship, engaging with the desire to well, and I also gave this paper on St. Francis at Laverna, so maybe I'm thinking of that too. Praising God and all his creatures, right? And that's what our art, this is what Tolkien wanted art to do, respond to that invitation to make in the image in which we are made, so that it becomes mythologically real because it's grounded in our praise of our creation.
Yeah, and Tolkien is a good example to bring up in terms of the depth in which you can set a story, or a narrative that you're trying to tell to an audience, because his universe is incredibly deep. There are so many layers that, again, you could make the argument like this was completely unnecessary for the purposes of your story. Like, your story narrative wise could have kept going on without needing to know about the entire background to the T of Middle.
But
the regular Silmarillion.
Exactly, you put it there. Because it mimics that layering of reality in a way.
Yes.
And that is what makes it compelling. That is why you have such a phenomenon over Tolkien's work.
And well, and he meditates on that in the Leaf by Niggle, right? When he's worrying about niggling over everything. This is a good place for us to have gotten to, right? That his Niggle character spends all of this time painting, a leaf or his tree, right? And he keeps adding more leaves, and the leaves are all different and yet all equally beautiful. And that when he dies, he ends up in purgatory because he's not been taking care of his neighbor as he should have. But on the other hand, the neighbor has to learn something about the beauty of the art that they are participating in. And when they get to, the new place, it's a delight for Nigel to see that his tree is real, right? That it was always there. It was always real. It was always this thing that he was pointing to. And I think it's, for me, the Catholic vision is more than just a Platonic, like, oh, the ideas are real. I think it's the creation is real, and we are not, insofar as we pay attention to it and its beauty and its detail. This is also just, guys, I'm a little bit reassuring the Kickstarter supporters that yes, we are really, really working on this. One of the things we're playing with in Act 4 is the problem of that scale, right? Whether you're looking at a distance or you're looking microscopically, like at what range is our attention that we are actually properly worshipful, and how did we lose that? How do we lose that ability to see in this level of attention? So there's a lot to come. So Aisha, tell the people, you're nearly done with all the pictures, right? It's like you were showing us the flat for
Yes.
the penultimate one, and there's one more that we haven't seen yet.
Maybe, yeah, I think that you guys have not seen
The last big spread,
the
yeah.
double spread,
Yeah.
or the last one. Yes, which is turning out quite nicely. I
Excellent.
think this is going to be
Great.
a splash to end Act 2 with. So yeah, I think I'm gonna probably keep that one under the wraps until it's completely done, and then just unveil
We'll
it to you,
enjoy that.
because it's gonna be.
So then
Yeah.
this is, you guys, you've been waiting for it. It's coming up, coming soon. We'll keep you posted on when everything's going to be start. There's always more it's like once you get all the work done, there's the footnotes, and there's no footnotes in this story. Seriously, when my life is like trying to peel out footnotes from these contributors to my other volume, and I'm like, oh, you have no idea. And then when I send it in, and then there's the index. No, it's
Maybe we should include as an appendix, like the monster reference
exactly,
books, because that is technically like footnotes for
even our poetry and art comes with footnotes. It's just most of the time we're not showing them to you, and now we have. Yes. We pulled back the veil from some of it, and therefore when you see the final version, you're going to say, "Wow, I want more footnotes." No. Anyway, Aisha, it was absolutely wonderful having you come on and talk through your process and your sources, and reassure us that it's so wonderful seeing our poem coming to life through your images. It's a gift. It's truly
Stunning.
A gift.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's great poetry. It's a great story. I couldn't be more happy
It's
to
great.
be illustrating
So
it.
guys,
Yeah.
there'll be
Thank you for having me.
a
This has
newsletter
been
that will have references and links to Aisha's other sites, so you can see some of her other work. And we will be in touch with details on exactly when the next volume is coming out. It's going to be out this autumn. So thanks for joining us. Like, subscribe, sign up. Be in touch. Come hang out with us in the Dragon Common Room on Telegram. And Casey's been researching things that we need to do to make the algorithms like us more. We're gonna get out.
Didn't like us today, but
serving the robots. Well, the robot doesn't like us because we keep wanting to do our own art and making it serve us. So there. We are going to tame this dragon and make it help us show you what we've done.
Well, from your lips to God's ear. I'll try my best.
It keeps working. I mean, one day we're going to be in Rome. We'll next. Yes, we'll all. It's all going to happen. It's all going to come together.
I've never been.
We got to see it. One day we'll meet under that elephant. Okay.
Gotta see that
We will. This is an ambition greatly to be pursued. Okay, good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.